Hi, and welcome back to the Bible in a Year Live Project podcast. Today is week 14, day 4, and we've been reading from the complete Jewish Bible version this week. My name is Sharone Dennis.
My name is Shane, and today we'll be reading from Judges chapter 6 to chapter 8.
Let's dig in. Judges chapter 6. But the people of Israel did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, so Adonai handed them over to Midian for 7 years. Midian exercised its power harshly against Israel, and because of Midian, the people of Israel hid themselves in mountains, in caves, and in other safe places. One time, after Israel's sowing season, Midian, with Amalek and others from the east, attacked them. They set up camp by them and destroyed the produce of the country all the way to Azah. They left nothing for the people to live on, no sheep, no oxen, no donkeys. For they came up with their cattle and tents, and they came in as thick as locusts. Both they and their camels were beyond numbering, and they came into the land to destroy it. Israel became very discouraged because of Midian, and the people of Israel cried out to Adonai. When the people of Israel cried out to Adonai because of Midian, Adonai sent a prophet to the people of Israel, who said to them, Adonai, the God of Israel, says, I brought you up from Egypt, out of a life of slavery. I delivered you from the power of the Egyptians and from the power of all your oppressors. I drove them out ahead of you and gave you their land. And I said to you, I am Adonai your God. You are not to be afraid of the gods of Amori in whose land you are living. But you paid no attention to what I said. Then the angel of Adonai came and sat under the pistachio tree in Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Avi Ezri. His son, Gideon, was threshing wheat in the winepress in order to hide it from Midian. The angel of Adonai appeared to him and said to him, You valiant hero, Adonai is with you. Excuse me, sir, answered Gideon. But if Adonai is with us, then why is all this happening to us? And where are all his miracles our ancestors told us about when they said, Didn't Adonai bring us up from Egypt? For now Adonai has abandoned us and handed us over to Midian. Adonai turned to him and said, Go in this strength of yours and save Israel from the hands of the Midian. Haven't I sent you? But Gideon answered him, Forgive me, my lord, but with what am I to save Israel? Why, my family is the poorest in Manasseh, and I'm the youngest person in my father's house. Adonai said to him, Because I will be with you, you will strike down Midian as easily as if they were just one man. Gideon replied, If indeed you favor me, would you mind giving me a sign that it is really you talking with me? Please don't leave until I go and return with a gift and present it to you. He replied, I'll wait till you come back. Gideon went in, cooked a young goat, and made matzot from a bushel of flour. He put the meat in a basket and the broth in a pot, brought them out to him under the pistachio tree, and presented them. The angel of God said to him, Take the meat and matzot, lay them on this rock, and pour out the broth. Gideon did so. And the angel of Adonai reached out with the stick he was holding, touched the meat and matzot, and fire shot up out of the rock and burnt up the meat and matzah. Then the angel of Adonai disappeared before his eyes. Gideon realized that he was the angel of Adonai and said, Oh no, my lord, Adonai, because I have seen the angel of Adonai face to face. But Adonai reassured him, Shalom to you, don't be afraid, you won't die. Then Gideon built an altar there to Adonai and called it Adonai Shalom. To this day it remains in Ophrah of the Avi Ezri. That very night Adonai said to him, Take your father's bull and the other bull, the 7-year-old. Destroy the altar to Baal that belongs to your father. Cut down the sacred pole next to it and build a proper altar to Adonai your God on top of the strong point. Then take the second bull and offer it as a burnt offering, using the wood of the sacred pole you cut down. Gideon took 10 of his servants and did what Adonai had told him to do. He didn't do it by day because he was afraid of the men in his father's household and those from the city, so he did it at night. When the men of the city got up the next morning, there was the altar of Baal destroyed, the sacred pole cut down, and the second bull, a burnt offering on the newly built altar. They asked each other, Who could have done this? But after investigating, they concluded that Gideon, the son of Joash, had done it. Bring out your son, the men of the city demanded of Joash. so that he may die, because he destroyed the altar of Baal and cut down the sacred pole next to it. But Joash said to all those crowding around him, "You're defending Baal, are you? It's your job to save him? Anyone who defends Baal will be put to death before morning. If he's a god, let him defend himself. After all, somebody destroyed his altar." Therefore, on that day, Gideon was given the name Yerubbaal. Let Baal defend, because they said, "Let Baal defend himself against him, since he destroyed his altar." Now all Midian, Amalek, and the others from the east joined forces, crossed the Jordan, and set up camp in the Yisrael valley. But the spirit of Adonai covered Gideon. He sounded the call on the shofar, and Aviezer rallied behind him. He sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, and they too rallied behind him. He also sent messengers to Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, and they came up to join them. Gideon said to God, "If you are going to save Israel through me, as you said you would, then here, I will lay a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece only, while all the ground stays dry, I will be convinced that you will save Israel through me, as you said you would." And it happened. He got up early in the morning, pressed the fleece together, and wrung dew out of it, a bowl full of water. But Gideon said to God, "Don't be angry with me, because I am asking one more thing. Let me make one more test, please. This time, let it be dry only on the fleece, with dew all over the ground." And that is what God did that night. It was dry only on the fleece, even though there was dew all over the ground. Judges chapter 7. Then Yerubbaal, that is, Gideon, and all the people with him got up early and set up camp by Ian Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them by Givat Moreh in the valley. Adonai said to Gideon, "There are too many people with you for me to hand Midian over to them, because I don't want Israel to be able to boast against me. We saved ourselves by our own strength. Therefore, proclaim to the people, anyone who is anxious or afraid should go home while we stay here on Mount Gilead." 22,000 returned, but 10,000 remained. Adonai said to Gideon, "There are still too many people. Have them come down to the water, and there I will screen them for you. If I say of anyone, 'This one is for you,' he will go with you. And if I say, 'This one is not for you,' he won't go with you." So he brought the people down to the water, and Adonai said to Gideon, "Put to one side everyone who laps up water with his tongue, the way a dog does, and put to the other side everyone who gets down on his knees to drink." 300 lapped, putting their hand to their mouth. All the rest of the men got down on their knees to drink water. Adonai said to Gideon, "I will use the 300 men who lapped the water to save you. I will hand Midian over to you. Let all these others go home." So they took the provisions and the shofar of the people, and then he sent all the men of Israel away, sent to his tent, but the 300 men he kept. The camp of Midian was in the valley below him. That night Adonai said to him, "Get up and attack the camp, because I have handed it over to you. But if you are afraid to attack, go down with your servant Purah, and after you hear what they are saying, you will have the courage to attack the camp." So with his servant Purah, he went down to the outposts of the camp. Now Midian, Amalek, and all the others from the east had settled in the valley as thick as locusts. Their camels too were beyond counting, like the sand on the seashore. Gideon got there just as a man was telling a comrade about a dream he had had. "I just now dreamt that a loaf of barley bread fell into the camp of Midian, came to the tent and struck it so hard that it overturned the tent and knocked it flat." His comrade answered, "This can only be the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has given Midian and all its army into his hand." When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he fell on his knees in worship. Then he returned to the camp of Israel and said, "Get up, because Adonai has handed Midian's army over to you." And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies. He put in the hand of all of them shofars and empty pitchers with torches in them. Then he said to them, "Watch me and do what I do. When I get to the edge of the camp, whatever I do, you do the same. When I and everyone with me blow the shofar, then you blow your shofars all around the whole camp and shout, for Adonai and for Gideon." Gideon and 100 men with him arrived at the edge of the camp a little before midnight, just after they had changed the guard. They blew the shofars and broke in pieces the pitchers that were in their hands. All three companies blew the shofars, broke the pitchers, and held the torches in their left hand, keeping their right hand free for the shofar. They were blowing and they shouted, "The sword for Adonai and for Gideon." Then, as every man stood still in place around the camp, the whole camp was thrown into panic, with everyone screaming and trying to escape. Gideon's men blew their 300 shofars, and Adonai caused everyone in the camp to attack their comrades, and the enemy fled beyond Biayl-Shita, near Tzera, as far as the border of Avel Mecholah by Tabat. The men of Israel were summoned from Naphtali, Asher, and both regions of Manasseh, and they pursued Midian. Gideon sent a messenger through all the hills of Ephraim with the message, "Come down and attack Midian, and capture the rivers before they get there, as far as Bet-bara, and also the Yarden." So all the men of Ephraim came together and seized the rivers as far as Bet-bara and the Yarden. They also captured 2 chiefs of Midian, Orev and Zeev. They put Orev to death at the rock of Orev, and Zeev at Zeev's winepress. Then, as they kept pursuing Midian, they brought the heads of Orev and Zeev to Gideon, who had crossed to the far side of the Yarden.
Judges chapter 8. But the men of Ephraim complained to Gideon, "Why didn't you call on us when you went to fight Midian? Why did you treat us this way?" They were sharp in their criticism. He answered by saying to them, "How can what I have done be compared with what you have done? Aren't the grapes Ephraim leaves on the vine better than the ones Abiezer harvests? God handed over to you Midian's chiefs, Orev and Zeev. What could I do that matches what you did?" By saying that, he appeased their anger at him. By now, Gideon and his 300 men had come to the Yarden and crossed over. They were exhausted, but were still pursuing the enemy. In Sukkot, he asked the people there, "Please give some loaves of bread to the men following me, because they are exhausted, and I am pursuing Zivak and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian." But the chiefs of Sukkot said, "You haven't captured Zivak and Zalmunna yet, so why should we give bread to your army?" Gideon said, "If that's your answer, then after Adonai has put Zivak and Zalmunna in my hands, I will tear your flesh apart with desert thorns and thistles." From there he went up to Penuel and made the same request, and the people of Penuel gave the same answer as those of Sukkot. So he answered the people of Penuel similarly, "When I return safe and sound, I will break down this tower." Now Zavak and Zalmunna were in Karkor with their army, about 15,000 men, all that remained of the entire army of the people from the east, since 120,000 arms-bearing soldiers had fallen. Gideon went up, using the route of the nomads east of Novak and Yogbeha, and struck down the army when they thought they were safe. Zavak and Zalmunna fled, but Gideon pursued them. Thus he captured the 2 kings of Midian, Zavak and Zalmunna, and routed their whole army in panic. When Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from the battle by way of the Heres Pass, he captured a young man from Sukkot and asked him about the chiefs and leaders of Sukkot. He wrote down for him the names of 77 of them. Then he came to the people of Sukkot and said, "You insulted me when you said you haven't captured Zavak and Zalmunna yet. So why should we give bread to your exhausted men? Well, here are Zavak and Zalmunna." And he took the leaders of the city and desert thorns and thistles and used them to teach the people of Sukkot a lesson. He also broke down the tower of Penuel and put the men of the city to death. Then he said to Zavak and Zalmunna, "Tell me about the men you killed at Tavor." They answered, "They looked like you, like a king's son." Gideon replied, "They were my brothers, my mother's sons. As surely as Adonai is alive, I swear that if you had spared them, I would not kill you." Then he ordered his oldest son, Yeter, "Get up and kill them." But the boy didn't draw his sword. Being still a boy, he was afraid. Then Zevach and Zalmunna said, "You, do it. You kill us. Let a grown man do what takes a grown man's strength." So Gideon got up and killed Zevach and Zalmunna. Then he took the ornamental crescents from around their camels' necks. The men of Israel said to Gideon, "Rule over us, you, your son, and your grandson, because you saved us from the power of Midian." Gideon replied, "Neither I nor my son will rule over you. Adonai will rule over you." Then he added, "But I have this request to make of you, that each of you would give me the earrings from the booty you have taken." For the enemy soldiers had worn gold earrings, like all the other tribes descended from Ishmael. They replied, "We're glad to give them to you." They spread out a robe, and each man threw in the earring from his booty. The gold earrings he requested weighed more than 42 pounds, and this doesn't include the crescents, pendants, and purple cloth worn by the kings of Midian, and the chains around their camels' necks. Out of these things, Gideon made a ritual vest, which he located in his city Ophrah. But all Israel turned it into an idol there, and it thus became a snare to Gideon and his family. This is how Midian was defeated by Israel, so that they ceased to be a threat. The land had rest for 40 years during the lifetime of Gideon. Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, returned to his home and stayed there. Gideon became the father of 70 sons, because he had many wives. He also had a concubine in Shechem, and she too bore him a son, whom he called Avimelech. Gideon, the son of Joash, died at a ripe old age, and was buried in the tomb of his father Joash in Ophrah of Aviezri. But as soon as Gideon was dead, the people of Israel again went astray after the Baalim, and made Biayl.Project their god. They forgot Adonai their God, who had saved them from the power of all their enemies on every side, and they showed no kindness toward the family of Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, to repay them for all the good he had done for Israel.
This is the word of the Lord. And remember, you can join us every week, Sunday evenings at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom, where we discuss the week's readings. Zoom details can be found in the description and on our website, Biayl.Project.com. Thanks for listening. Blessings.